Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life.
Our lives truly are miracles, and there's an opportunity for us to find and see the miracle in everything that we do. As we learn to connect to divinity, as we learn to connect to the divinity inside ourselves, we discover and understand that we're part of the bigger picture. And as part of the bigger picture, we have our place, we have our duties, if you will, to share all of our gifts and talents in a way that give other people the opportunities to share their gifts and talents. Each and every time that you share who you are with the world through an act of love, you are creating a miracle. And that miracle is contagious, if you will, because as you share the goodness of you, as you share from a place of your empowerment, you empower others to do the same. And that opens doors for each and every one of us to grow and expand, to serve, to truly make a difference, to open up possibilities for each and every one of us to tap into their divinity, to tap into the connection that they have with energy, with source, with God, and open the doors for them to be more than they could ever imagine being. And as you do that for others, you're going to step into the more of you that you could never imagine. I'm with Melissa Mayer today. Melissa is a holistic physical therapist and author of the book, Recovering My True Self. In her book, she tells the story of the transformational journey she experienced donating her kidney to her husband. Melissa is a student of A Course in Miracles, and in her book, she discusses experiencing a divine wake-up, which led to a more powerful and deeper spiritual connection with herself and to spirit, all of which have allowed for a better and more fulfilled life. Melissa Mayer, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Absolutely.
You're the very first guest that I've had. I think we're right at about 148, 149, that mentions A Course in Miracles and how they live by the Course in Miracles. But then I assume, as I read holistic physical therapist, that you bring a lot of that into your work. Could you share a little bit more about you and what you're doing in not just the holistic physical therapy world, but in life as whole as you bring yourself to the world?
Absolutely. So yes, A Course in Miracles has been, pretty much the foundation of my work these days, and also my book and the Divine Wake Up. I did my lesson this morning. I'm a student of the workbook. I do the daily lessons every single morning. Marianne Williamson has been an incredible teacher and inspiration to that process. So, the book has a lot of Christian language, which originally had kind of steered me away because I considered myself spiritual, not religious. And that language was it didn't sit well with me at first. But I also, I have synchronicity tattooed on my forearm. I believe in meaningful coincidences. And I did feel pulled to the book. And like, this was my time. I've heard lots of references through the years with Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, and other people. So I started reading it and felt just the powerful messages that come through it. There's the spiritual truths of, I'm a child of spirit, and I'm here to extend spirit's love in everything I do, in my professional work, as a parent, as a wife, to the person I walk past on the street. And that guides me every day in every decision I make. And it's really been the real kind of root, I think, of all the transformation. I started studying it shortly before I donated my kidney to my husband and had my kind of, real grand transformation. And now I've been, a very loyal student ever since, and just find that miracles are in every present moment. The minute you shift from fear to love, which is the message of the course, the shifting of the fear to love is the miracle. And we do that in the present moment. And then when we do that, the bigger miracles that people call miracles, I think, come from that shift.
All right, I agree so much. This is just an audio podcast, so unfortunately, the imagination can't see Imagine Miracles up on the wall behind me here. So I definitely agree 100% with that. And to really, truly call Marianne Williamson your mentor is a very powerful thing in itself, too. She brings so much to the world, and not just through the work with A Course in Miracles, but her activism also is huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was very involved in her campaign, and she's a real inspiration for all of us.
That's for sure. Could you share a little bit more about your divine wake up?
Sure. So, my husband needed a kidney transplant. We had known for 7 years. We'd found out when I was pregnant with my first child. They're now 8 and 10. So it was kind of a miracle in and of itself that when the doctor said he needed a transplant and we said when, they said, well, the fact that your wife is a match and a donor, we can kind of put the process on hold and see, just kind of wait to the last minute when it's really, really, truly necessary. So it was kind of a miracle that we had 7 years to just be parents and live our lives and move out of New York City and out here to the beautiful East End of Long Island. So, but then all of a sudden it was time, and it was a very, very overwhelming time to, hear that your husband is in this, critical health crisis. And, but I was really grateful that I had for years done lots of inner growth work, read a lot of wonderful teachers, had a strong meditation practice, had done my yoga teacher training. So, just kind of, I did lots of inner preparation work, walking, meditating, and then also the Course in Miracles did come really strongly into my life, I'd say about 2 months before then. And right before the surgery, the day before, I just felt like I kind of had gotten on my knees and said, God, if that's what you are, I don't know, I don't know what that means, but I need a miracle here, and I had that moment of spiritual surrender where I just got down and said, please help, I need something, I need support here. And we went into the surgery, and, and I describe it really in lots of detail in my book. I mean, just like the tears of walking in and just feeling the emotions pouring out of me, and then laying on the table and seeing the surgeons, look into my eyes, and just going to sleep and waking up. And when I woke up, I felt like, I mean, I had that kind of minute of, panic when you wake up from anesthesia and you're just like, oh God, what's going on? You wake up from that like crazy dream. But then, I heard this voice whisper and say, the miracle's here. You got it, granted. and and I was like, what? What is that? But then I realized that I just had never, and it was something that I didn't feel like I had to explain to others or convince others. I knew it was like the truth that just washed over me, that I'm going to be fine, and he's going to be fine, and our family's going to be fine. And oh my gosh, the relief and just the joy in that was so profound. And it's, changed my life ever since. I felt a stronger, connection to spirit ever since then. I stopped drinking alcohol as well, because I said, my connection is so deep now. I don't even want to blur that at all. So I stopped drinking as a result, and my work has changed. My life has changed. My book has, manifested as a piece of all of it. And I'm just really, really grateful. And that, I attribute all of it to that divine wake up after the surgery.
So as you opened your eyes, moved into that place where everything was going to be fine, I assume that there's a moment of I want to make my life this. I want to feel this way and to live from here on this way. How did that change your family life, and how did it change your work life?
Yeah, well, I'd say in the beginning, I just took everything really slow, just with a grain of salt, just, and how mindfulness practices, often are, just one step at a time, one day at a time, just embracing gratitude. And then slowly, as we were recovering and getting better, it just unfolded. I mean, I was already doing, I love The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It's a 12-week self-study course in creative recovery. So I had been doing, part of it is your morning pages, your morning writing pages. So I was every morning, that was my practice of writing, which really like kind of made a roadmap of just like every morning, just connecting, meditating and writing and clearing my head. That would just kind of point the arrows of here's how you're going to do it today. And here's how you're going to do it tomorrow. And just slowly, step by step, making the foundation. And, I was lucky that, I was already a physical therapist. My work already was in healthcare, and I had already done my yoga teacher training and had, a strong meditation practice and had done lots of self-growth work. So it just kind of all came together. It was kind of so obvious and amazing that it kind of took me so long to put it together, but it's like timing is everything, and it all unfolded perfectly. So just doing traditional physical therapy for years, but then taking a little kind of break when my children were young and really embracing attachment parenting, simplicity parenting, Waldorf education, and that kind of beautiful creative mindfulness in education and in children, and kind of healing my own inner child. And then when I did start shifting back into now, how am I going to move beyond myself and bring these miracles kind of abroad? It was kind of really obvious. It's like, well, take your physical therapy work and expand with all your holistics and, work with people like that and write a book so that can, reach people. So it was just, it just, the foundation was there. And then I just kind of took it all and ran, and it still is, unfolding, and it's been really exciting.
Yeah, for sure. And all of the preparation had to happen before you got to that point where you're ready to open up. You bring so much more. One of the things that you share, Melissa, that I would love for you to maybe give a little bit more information to the imagination. We have these either or in the world sometimes. It's either spirituality or religion, or it's spirituality or science or spirituality. Talk to us about how you feel now about bringing it all together and how that's changed things for you.
Yes, thank you for asking that, because it's a great question and something I've definitely contemplated through the years. I mean, when I went to physical therapy school, I have my doctorate in physical therapy. I had this vision. My uncle, my dear uncle, had a tragic stroke. So I had said, I want to, and working with him, I said, I want to be a healer. I want to bring healing, but I didn't really know what that meant. I was really, kind of young and just still uncovering it all. And, it was just, I needed the foundation. And so I'm really glad I went to physical therapy school and I got, lots of education in, traditional healthcare, because it does have a lot to offer and there are great things. And I wanted to kind of learn the rules so I knew how to break them. But, then at the same time, of course, I think, a lot of people in healthcare on the practice and the practitioner side and on the patient side can easily see the shortcomings, and how a lot of times there's not that, deeper connection and the kind of underneath it all. So, I love that these days I can kind of bring both. I mean, I can look at a patient, understand where they've come from in the traditional healthcare model and honor that. I mean, my husband wouldn't have been able to get a kidney without it. I certainly very and truly deeply honor the traditional healthcare model and the science, but also kind of say now that we've done all those things and we've checked those boxes, now let's kind of go deeper here and let's bring the other side. Let's bring in spirit. Let's bring in, your deeper goals and dreams and create those miracles that you really, you came here to work on your shoulder, or, someone goes to a doctor because they have headaches, but really, how can we really, truly get your goals and really kind of create your dreams? So I think, that's how I kind of bring them both together and really honor both sides. And it's really important. I don't think one can really exist without the other.
That's very helpful. And in what you're sharing there is that there really are no mistakes or coincidences. We are directed, or we attract into our lives those things that we need to move and grow and to better serve. And I think kind of recovering my true self is a multifaceted experiences, right, of where you've been and what you've learned, And I'm sure you bring that to your patients and the family also. Could you share more about the parts of Recovering My True Self?
Sure, sure. When I was coming up with the title of the book, I was talking to somebody, and he was kind of helping kind of uncover and guide that, the many stages of recovering and recovery. I mean, recovering, my voice, especially growing up and finding your voice and finding who you are and the connection to yourself. And, it's hard. I mean, adolescence and then, growing up and in a world where it's not always encouraged. So, I mean, I was a highly sensitive person and I didn't know that as a child. As a child, I didn't have that vantage point yet. So I was going through the world really sensitive and feeling lots and not knowing how to navigate it. So, when alcohol came onto the scene in high school, I was like, oh, yes, a tool, for helping me. And the same thing with food, things that can kind of numb all the things that I would feel. But then the wonderful opportunity to go to college and to travel to California and go to graduate school and to start learning and growing who I was and whom I work. So kind of the recovery in that aspect. And then, going to India, becoming a parent, getting married. I mean, all of those like transformational moments that we experience along the way, like recovering, who I am as a wife, as a mother, and then recovering, my work and defining it from traditional to holistic and finding the way with that. And then, of course, recovering from the kidney, because I was the donor, of course, if I didn't mention that, recovering from the surgery and our family recovering from that. And then recovering from, alcohol, which I never considered myself an alcoholic per se, but I did go to some AA meetings and was really drawn to the work that people do in those meetings. I mean, the letting go and letting God. And I mean, it's really, really beautiful work. And, that's, I guess, the kind of classic considered recovery work. So getting the privilege to experience that. So just the recovery in all those different stages. And I think, most of us can relate to all the different stages in our lives, the opportunity to recover who we are, professionally, personally, growing up as a parent, as a professional. So I kind of wanted to touch on that and have that be the theme and kind of tie everything together.
Mary and I are writing a book, a memoir, just of about 8 years of the beginning of our relationship, and I know it's healing. I know it's empowering, and through the process and the excitement of knowing that we get to share our story, but also share some direction or possible direction for people. When you sat down to write Recovering My True Self, what did you want to bring to the world through writing your book?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I had thought about, and I even kind of had an interesting encounter where someone basically just telling my story versus should I tell people how to live their lives? And in this juxtaposition of like, tell my story or, give things for people to have for their lives. So, at the end of the book, I did, include a toolbox because I was like, people hear this journey and maybe they want some inspiration. So, I kind of listed some of, meditation, energy work, and things that I recommend. But, in a lot of deep contemplation and realizing like I love listening to people's stories. And after reading kind of hundreds of self-help books, 10 ways to, to have bliss, my favorite part would be at the end or the beginning when the author would say, here's why I wrote this book. And here's why I came to write this book. I had an experience with my mother passing or illness or whatever. So, I think I personally love hearing people's stories and how they came to this work. And so I said, you know what, I'm going to share the story of how I came to this work because I think it's more valuable instead of saying, hey, you should really meditate, which I think is wonderful advice, versus meditation has completely transformed who I am and grounds me every single day of my life to know what I want and how I want to do it. And I think that's more helpful to people. I think that inspires people more. I think it's hard for people to take advice because, we're all walking around with so much baggage and we get, easily triggered. But then when we tell our stories, it kind of creates a really safe space for people to go, wow, I feel good. And then it also, it doesn't have this kind of, Marianne Williamson talked about leadership as, top down versus bottom up. And it inspires people to, to recover their true selves. Like they know how to do that, not me. So I'm not going to say, here's how you can recover your life. I'm going to say, here's how I recovered mine. So now you have, the empowerment to do yours, because you know how to do that. And it's the same thing with healing. I thought for years, like, how can I call myself a healer? I don't know how to heal other people. It's like, well, if you know how to heal yourself, then that's what heals others, because you're creating that space, you're creating that connection. You're the vessel holding spirit, and that's the healing force, and you're just channeling that and giving that to them. So, I think it's really powerful for people to tell their stories, and I think that leads people to create their stories and connect with theirs.
It's so helpful when we learn that each person's journey is an inside out job. And it's truly not our way to show. At Imagine Miracles, most of what we share and how we share it is helping people find their own answers, because we don't have their answers in any way. And by training or education, I guess you would say, I've got a training and development degree, and I've spent a lot of my life in the training and development world. And one of the things I like to share with everybody is we only teach by example. We think we teach by our education, we think we teach by our mind, but we teach by example, and then allow others to find their way through the experiences they have in the examples. So I think you shared that so well. So I appreciate that. As you moved more into the holistic world and you started bringing more of your spirituality, your understanding of what the Course in Miracles shares with us, how is that perceived and how is that accepted in your patients?
So, it's definitely like a warming up process in terms of, when I first meet somebody and evaluate them, it's like we get there slowly. And I think, it's not like I don't come right out with that and say, hey, we're going to create miracles today. That's what I'm thinking and that's what I'm feeling. But, it's like, and I think that helps a lot too. Like, through lots of like setting intentions, I kind of, meditate and pray on the patient before they even come. So this way, when they come, like the intention is already set. So this way, it doesn't even have to be said right off the bat. We're going to, talk about miracles today in our session, but we kind of get there towards the end. And once we talk about what's going on with the person, and I do, a lot of body work, myofascial release, energy clearing. And then as we slowly start to kind of release the tension in the body, when we start to address what's going on, when we start to do some yoga and, get energy moving, then, little by little, we start to get there and we start to kind of get to those kinds of deeper things. And I can just like see the relief on people's faces. So I think people respond well to it. And it's not always so obvious that that's what we're doing. It's kind of more, it's kind of like the foundation. And it's kind of just like envelops and kind of like all encompassing in the work.
One thing with that I would love for you to share with the imagination is how that was accepted by peers and how you navigated that.
Well, I still have, good relationships with colleagues that I work with. I still cover 1 day a week at a traditional physical therapy clinic. So, I wouldn't say I talk with them too much about my work. It's kind of more like I work on my own. I have a healing space, that I work out of, and people kind of just come to me and they find me, and then I connect with them through, I'll have book events, and then, people will read my book and kind of find more about my work, and they'll, it's kind of the divine marketing process. And then I'd say in terms of, colleagues, we still kind of communicate in a traditional physical therapy way. And I think they honor my way as long as I honor their way, kind of one of those things. Like I honor like the model and the work that they're bringing. And then they kind of honor mine. And it's great when they refer people to me and then I refer people back to them. And it's, like always like a mutual respect, because not everybody does work in this way. Like I'm a kind of tiny niche of physical therapy. And, which is great because it's such a vast field and a lot of people work in lots of different ways. But when I do connect and communicate with people, it's, with other colleagues, it's been all good.
You're a great example of people are aligned with, they're searching for, they're attracted to the energy that they need to help them on their journey. And what you just shared with is that these people find you when they need your energy to help them get whatever's in their body out so they can experience life in a way that supports them and supports the world around them.
Absolutely. Sometimes they even, sometimes when they even will go to traditional physical therapy first, and then will come to me afterward and say, I went there and it kind of worked. I was getting better, but I know there's more, and I want to go deeper. And I'm like, great, you found the right place. And then that's great. So I like it like that too, as, a lot of times too, people are like, I'm not feeling well. I'm like, so go to the doctor, like it's the perfect place to start. And then, this work is, too, it's day to day and it's year to year and it layers on top of it. And it's not, a single cure all. It's just start, working with what you got where you are today. And, getting, kind of traditional healthcare advice is always a really good place to start before you kind of want to go deeper into the work.
Sometimes we need to give ourselves time to do the inside work, and Western medicine helps give us that time.
Absolutely. Very, very much agreed.
So believe it or not, we're close to the end of our time, and I want to make sure that you get an opportunity to share a parting piece of guidance with the imagination.
Yeah. So I guess just, kind of reiterating what we're saying, that you're your best healer. You know how to heal yourself best. And the way to get there is through connecting with that voice. And that small, still voice within is connected to yourself, connected to spirit. It knows. And it's just giving that voice space through mindfulness, meditation, giving yourself those 5 minutes in the morning. That's the time where your true self will start speaking to you. So honor that and give that time, give that space, build a wall, build a fence around the outside world to say, no, that piece really needs honoring. It needs protecting. So nurture that seed within you and let it grow.
Oh, thank you. Such great advice. Melissa, how can people get in touch with you?
So you can go to my website, melissamayer.org. That has links to where you can get copies of my book, my blog, events, other podcasts and things I've been on. On Facebook, I'm Melissa Anthony Mayer, and Instagram, Mel May Evolve. But my website has, links to all of that and is kind of the best place to, again, see blog posts and other things that I'm doing.
Oh, thank you so much for that. All that information will be available on Melissa's show page. If you go to themiracleyou.com, look for Melissa's episode, that information will be there. And remember the name of the book, Recovering My True Self. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing the story. Thank you for sharing some guidance about how to truly make our lives more and really give us an opportunity to show up in the world. And thank you for helping others show up in the world.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for creating this space. This was really wonderful.
You're so welcome. On behalf of my wife, Mary, who's my business partner, also the entire team here at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.